welcome back to Read This Next with Laura and Nicole from the Thunder Bay Public Library. This week we are doing a less specific genre topic, but one that is going to be just as fun as all the other ones.
Yeah, we are wanting to do something that had a lot of cross appeal. So the books that we've chosen to highlight this week are books that were published this year. So they're all new 2022 books. And they're ones that are either like Buzzy, they've been like talked about, they've been picked up for adaptations, a couple of them, they're shortlisted for awards, they're bestsellers. And yeah, just ones that we wanted to highlight and suggest to all the Thunder Bay readers.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think we're probably on YouTube or whatever, gonna call it like Buzzy Books or something. So
something like that. Yeah.
something catchy, something catchy. Okay, so let's get into it. Okay, our next one, I do like the cover of this one. This is Two Nights in Lisbon by Chris Pavone. Okay, Two Nights in Lisbon. You think you know a person. Adriel. Ariel Price wakes up in Lisbon alone. Her husband is gone. No warning, no note, not answering his phone. That rhymes. Something is wrong. She starts with the hotel security, then the police, then the American embassy, at each confronting questions she can't fully answer. What exactly is John doing in Lisbon? Why would he drag her along on his business trip? Who would want to harm him? And why does Ariel know so little about her new, much younger husband? The clock is ticking. Ariel is increasingly frustrated and desperate, running out of time, and the one person in the world who can help is the one person she least wants to ask. With sparkling prose and razor-sharp insights, best-selling author Chris Pavone delivers a stunning and sophisticated international thriller that will linger long after the surprising final page.
Yeah.
A
So
thriller.
a thriller, another one of these fun ones where it's like the domestic, the relationship, and then kind of exploding out into how's this function in the rest of the world.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the author, I'm not sure if this one is yet, but previous books by this author were bestsellers.
Okay.
Mhm.
I mean,
Seems to know
they
what they're about.
they seem to say that he's a pretty good author, and I'm seeing he authored the Expats. It
Yes,
looks like on the cover it says the Expats. So if you're familiar with that one, go check it out.
indeed. Okay. Next one. I enjoy this cover. I
Me
find it
too.
very charming. Just the colors are different, right? Kind of
Yeah.
jumps out at you. Okay, so this book is called The Exhibitionist. It's by Charlotte Mendelson. The longer the marriage, the harder truth becomes. So this is another one about marriage, but this is a family that has children as well. Meet the Hanrahan family, gathering for a momentous weekend as famous artist and notorious egoist Ray Hanrahan prepares for a new exhibition of his art, the first in many decades, and one he is sure will burnish his reputation for good. His three children will be there: beautiful Leah, always her father's biggest champion; sensitive Patrick, who has finally decided to strike out on his own; and insecure Jess, the youngest, who has her own momentous decision to make. And what of Lucia, Ray's steadfast and selfless wife? She is an artist too, but has always had to put her roles as wife and mother first. I made it through that sentence. It's all good. Okay.
You did it.
What will happen if she decides to change? For Lucia is hiding secrets of her own. And as the weekend unfolds and the exhibition approaches, she must finally make a choice. The Exhibitionist is the extraordinary fifth novel from Charlotte Mendelson, a dazzling exploration of art, sacrifice, toxic family politics, queer desire, and personal freedom.
Wow. That
Yeah.
one sounds like I mean, they've got more characters, so it'll be interesting to see how they all play out as well.
Yes. It sounds like I mean, it's not unusual for these like big chonky family drama sort of things, but I like the bit about the art is interesting, and the bit about the woman kind of like sublimating her own life as an artist to
Mm-hmm.
fulfill these other roles, how that could,
Yeah,
finally
she's like
eventually.
becoming a new person. Her old self maybe, but big
Interesting.
change.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, this next one, Laura was like, Nicole, a lot of your favorite authors are coming out with new books, and I hadn't heard of this one yet. So, this is Book of Night by Holly Black. And if you don't recall, Holly Black wrote the Tithe series and the Cruel Prince series, and like, I feel like there was a like the Black Cat or Black Glove
Yes.
series. There was something about a cat, and
We
there was
have
also gloves.
recommended many of her books
Yeah,
before.
yeah, and also the Spiderwick Chronicles if you want a kid's book.
Yes, the juvenile as well.
Yeah. Okay, so this is Book of Night, though. Charlie Hall has never found a lock she couldn't pick, a book she couldn't steal, or a bad decision she wouldn't make. She spent half her life working for glomists, magicians who manipulate shadows to peer into locked rooms, strange people in their beds, or worse. Glomists, glomists guard their secrets greedily, creating an underground economy of grimoires. And to rob their fellow magicians, they need Charlie Hall. Now she's trying to now she's trying to distance herself from past mistakes, but getting out isn't easy. Bartending at a dive, she's still entirely too close to the corrupt underbelly of the Berkshires. Not to mention that her sister Posy is desperate for magic, and that Charlie's shadowless and possibly soulless boyfriend, okay, has been hiding things from her, like where his shadow is, maybe? When a terrible figure from her past returns, Charlie descends into a maelstrom of murder and lies. Determined to survive, she's up against a cast of doppelgangers, mercurial billionaires, glow mists. That was a lot of big words for me. And the people she loves best in the world, all trying to steal a secret that will give them vast and terrible power. I can't wait to read this. It screams yeah, new adult. So like in between YA and adult.
It does
Wow.
sound very, very good.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
lots of world building pieces,
But also
but
like it sounds like it's kind of Shadowhunters-esque where it's built in our world but
right.
expanded.
So urban fantasy rather than
Yes.
high fantasy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm. Yes, sounds good. Sounds like fun. Always nice when like a surprise gift from an author you enjoy.
Yes. Love her.
Okay, our next one is it's a book that my sister lent to me like a couple months ago, and she's been telling me to read it, and I haven't done it yet. But I want to. It's on my to read list, and it's also literally on my to read shelf at home, but I just have not done it yet. Anyway, here's the book. It's called The School for Good Mothers. It's by Jessamine Chan. This taut and explosive debut novel in this taut and explosive debut novel, one lapse in judgment lands a young mother in a government reform program where custody of her child hangs in the balance. This doesn't sound potentially troubling for me as a parent of
No.
a young child.
Not something that will cause
Me anxiety.
nightmares.
Okay. Frida Liu is struggling. She doesn't have a career worthy of her Chinese immigrant parents' sacrifices. What is worse is she can't persuade her husband, Gus, to give up his wellness-obsessed younger mistress. Phew.
Okay.
Only with their angelic daughter, Harriet, does Frida finally feel she's attained the perfection expected of her. Harriet may be all she has, but she's just enough. Until Frida has a horrible day. The state has its eyes on mothers like Frida, ones who check their phones while their kids are on the playground, who let their children walk home alone. In other words, mothers who only have one lapse of judgment. Now, a host of government officials will determine if Frida is a candidate for a big brother-like institution that measures the success or failure of a mother's devotion. Faced with the possibility of losing Harriet, Frida must prove that she can live up to the standards set for mothers, that she can learn to be good. This propulsive, witty page turner explores the perils of perfect upper middle class parenting, the violence enacted upon women by the state and each other, and the boundless love a mother has for her daughter.
Wow.
Yes.
Interesting. So I think I might have misunderstood, but they're looking for people that are like Frida, but what's
They're,
special about her?
they're watching for anyone who like makes a mistake, has a bad day for whatever it might be.
Oh, okay.
So whether it's yeah, watching your phone when your kid's at the playground, which I'm sorry, everyone does,
Yeah.
or or like what this makes me think of is like some of those really sad examples that you see where like a woman's children are being taken by CAS because they've been sitting in a McDonald's while she's been working her shift or something. And it's like, well, she
Mm,
literally does not have another like caregiver. So this is what is the best thing for her to do. And then it's like there's criticizing that parent when they're doing like the best they can.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, sounds interesting.
Yeah.
And I like the line like about the violence that the state does, because that's certainly true, but it is also the violence that women do to each other, right? Like it's moved on now, but the whole like mummy blogger complex was so toxic.
Yeah.
And now it's this weird kind of reversal that was like pushing back against that. And now there's this weird parent culture online that's like, parenting is the worst, isn't it?
Yeah, it's
Kids
strange.
are
People are like, you should have kids, but I hate having kids.
right.
It's like,
Like, here's some stories
oh,
about how terrible my life is since I had children. It's
yeah.
a strange like response, I think, overcorrection to that like weird perfect parent thing. And now it's like, we're not perfect. We're in fact, we're terrible.
I'm awful.
Right? Or like I feel like we need to find an even middle ground there. But
Yeah.
this book in particular, it sounds quite good and a very like one of those near future dystopians, right? It
Mhm.
sounds entirely plausible.
Yeah, a little too plausible.
Hmm. Hmm.
This next one is How to Take Over the World: Practical Schemes and Scientific Solutions for the Aspiring Supervillain by Ryan North. And I know Laura knows this, but Ryan North wrote the Choose Your Own Adventure Romeo and Juliet book, graphic novel kind of book. And he is so funny and so good. And I'm so excited to pick up this book because it's gonna be good. I just know it will be.
It will be lots of fun. He also did Squirrel Girl, wrote some of the Squirrel Girl
Oh.
comics, and they were also very fun and delightful.
Mhm.
And he has an amazing comic online. I don't know if he's still doing it, called Dinosaur Comics, and it's like the same four panel comic every day. He did it for literally years and just put different text in, like the same
Wow.
images but different text.
Yeah.
How
Somehow funny
someone
every time.
somehow funny every time. He is quite a guy, and he's Canadian.
No way. We've definitely
Way
talked about this before and
Ryan
I
North.
forgot. He's from the north. He's Ryan North.
He is Ryan North.
Okay. Let me tell you about this book. A tongue-in-cheek introduction to the science of comic book villain. A tongue-in-cheek introduction to the science of comic book supervillainy, revealing the true potential of today's most advanced technologies. Taking over the world is a lot of work. Any supervillain is bound to have questions. What's the perfect location for a floating secret base? What zany heist will fund my immoral plans? How do I control the weather, destroy the internet, and never, ever die? In How to Take Over the World, Ryan North details a number of outlandish villainous schemes drawing on known science and real world technologies. Picking up where How to Invent Everything left off, his explanations are as fun and informative as they are completely absurd. As he instructs readers on how to take over the world, North also reveals how we can save it. This sly guide to some of the greatest challenges and existential threats facing humanity accessibly explores ways to mitigate climate change, improve human lifespans, prevent cyber terrorism, and finally make Jurassic Park a reality. Even though we all know that's a
That
terrible
is a
idea,
terrible idea.
unless you're a supervillain.
Sure. Sure. Then it's a
Yeah,
good idea.
it's a
Good
great
thing to work
idea.
on. Yeah. Fun. Fun. Yeah. See, we told you this was a good list. It's a
It's a
real
great list.
mixture of stuff. Okay. This next one. Okay. First of all, great cover.
Oh yeah, super
Great
good.
cover.
Reminds me of the one with the guy with the apple over his face.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Good Rich People by Eliza Jane Brazier. Layla has always believed that life is a game she is destined to win, but her husband Graham takes the game to dangerous levels. The wealthy couple invites self-made success stories to live in their guest house and then conspire to ruin their lives. Their
Whoa.
lives. Oh my gosh, their lives.
Both.
Oh, their lies and their lives. Ruin their lives with lies. Okay. After all, there is nothing worse than a bootstrapper. Demi has always felt like the odds were stacked against her. At the end of her rope, she seizes a risky opportunity to take over another person's life and unwittingly becomes the subject of the upstairs couple's wicked entertainment. But Demi has been struggling all her life, and she's not about to go down without a fight. In a twist that neither woman sees coming, the game quickly devolves into chaos and rockets towards an explosive conclusion. Because every good rich person knows, in money and in life, it's winner take all, even if you have to leave a few bodies behind.
Wow. That sounds so good.
It does. It sounds like fun, just
Yeah.
like a real,
It
you
sounds
know,
fresh
a,
too, you know?
yeah, a romp with terrible people.
Yeah. They
You
all
don't want to
deserve
know
it.
them, but it's fun to read about them.
Absolutely. These have been some really good books so far. I'm glad I
I
didn't like
know.
read ahead. Okay,
Yeah.
this next one has a really great cover as well.
Yes, it does.
It's The End of the World House by Adrian Kelt. Groundhog Day meets Ling Ma's Severance in the End of the World. Nope, sorry. Okay, it's Groundhog Day meets Ling Ma's Severance, period. In The End of the World House, a thought provoking comedic novel about two young women trying to save their friendship as the world collapses around them. Birdie and Kate have been best friends since high school. Birdie is a semi failed cartoonist working for a prominent Silicon Valley tech firm. Her job depresses her, but not as much as the fact that Kate has already decided to move from San Fran to Los Angeles, where Birdie's attempts to make Kate stay fail. She suggests the next best thing: a trip to Paris that will hopefully distract the duo from their upcoming separation. The vacation is also sort of a last hurrah, coming during a ceasefire in a series of escalating world conflicts. One night in Paris, they meet a strange man in a bar who offers them a private tour of the Louvre. The women find themselves alone in the museum where nothing is quite as it seems. Caught up in a day that keeps repeating itself, Birdie and Kate are eventually separated, and Birdie is faced with a mystery that threatens to derail everything. In order to make her way back to Kate, Birdie has to figure out how much control she has over her future and her past, and how to survive an apocalypse when the world keeps refusing to end.
Sounds
Another
so good.
God. What are these cool ideas all coming out with right now? Like, dang.
Original. Very
Yeah.
cool idea. I
Love
love a
it.
time loop.
Mhm.
Love a time loop. That's great.
Yeah.
Museum, great.
Friends, great.
Friends, great. That's interesting. I'm very curious about like if they manage to completely avoid like the romance angle. I hope they
Yeah.
do. Let's
Yeah.
just stick with making it to the through the apocalypse with your friend. That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Female friendship. That got you, eh?
It
She's
did.
like, I just love female friendship.
It did. It got me. Okay. Okay. Next one.
More art.
More art. I know.
Mm,
There's like themes in the covers of like faces and eyes keeps
yeah.
reoccurring in a lot
I'm
of these
so curious
ones.
what, like, usually people do those, like, here was the themes of the year. I can't wait to see
Mm,
those.
yeah, yeah. Okay, this one is called The Employees, and it is a novel in translation by Olga Radin, translated by Martin Atkin. Okay, so it sounds, this is like right up my alley. Weird sci-fi. I'm into it. Okay. A workplace novel of the 22nd century. It's the near distant future, millions of kilometers from Earth. The crew of the 6,000 ship consists of those who were born and those who were created, those who will die and those who will not. When the ship takes on a number of strange objects from the planet New Discovery, the crew is perplexed to find itself becoming deeply attached to them, and human and humanoid employees alike find themselves longing for the same things: warmth and intimacy, loved ones who have passed, our shared faraway Earth, which now only persists in memory. Gradually, the crew members come to see themselves in a new light, and each employee is compelled to ask themselves whether their work can carry on as before and what it means to be truly alive. And then this
Mm.
is part of why I find this very intriguing. Structured as a series of witness statements compiled by a workplace commission.
Oh, that's cool.
The crackling prose is as chilling as it is moving, as exhilarating as it is foreboding. Racked by all kinds of longing, the employees probes into what it means to be human emotionally and ontologically, while simultaneously delivering an overdue critique of a life governed by work and the logic of productivity.
Ooh, very current as well.
Yes. You know what? There's something fun about a mixed up, like some variety in the format, right? There's that,
Hmm.
I always say that kind of like one of the most well-known, interesting examples is the World War Z book,
Hmm.
which is written as a bunch of, like, it's all just different interviews together. That's like the format of the book. And so this one would be very similar because it's witness statements.
So good.
How interesting. And there are quite a lot. Frankly, there's been many. What they're called is a generation ship. Basically, when people, like, more than a generation will be living on this same spaceship because of how
Hmm.
far it's traveling. And so that's not an uncommon thing in science fiction. There's lots of books about generation ships. But I like that there's like, it sounds like androids and regular people. And like,
Hmm.
I'm curious about what the things are that they pick up that kind of awaken all these new
It's
feelings,
dogs. It's
these
probably
strange
puppies.
objects. It's dogs. It's space puppies.
It's space puppies. And they're like, oh, I miss my dog.
That would make sense. I mean, I'd understand it. They find themselves becoming deeply attached.
Yeah,
Yes.
spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Sorry, everyone.
Space puppies. Yeah. Anyway, so the employees sounds really very good, and also supposed to be funny, like like a funny, stinging critique as well. So
That's nice.
yeah, I'm into it.
Hmm. Okay, this is Just Like Mother by Anne Heltzel. Okay. A girl should be such a blessing. The last time Maeve saw her cousin was the night she escaped the cult they were raised in. For the last 2 decades, Maeve has worked hard to build a normal life in New York City where she keeps everything and everyone at a safe distance. When Andrea suddenly reappears, Maeve regains the only true friend she's ever had. Soon she's spending more time at Andrea's remote Catskills estate than in her own cramped apartment. Maeve doesn't even mind that her cousin's wealthy work friends clearly disapprove of her single lifestyle. After all, Andrea has made her fortune in the disability industry. Baby fever comes along with the territory. The more Maeve immerses herself in Andrea's world, the more disconnected she feels from her life back in the city. And the cousin's increasing attachment triggers memory Maeve has fought hard to bury. But confronting the terrors of her childhood may be the only way for Maeve to transcend the nightmares still to come. Cults books.
Cults. And you can't really tell from that description, but from what I recall, that was categorized under horror.
Oh, have you read this one or just when you were looking
No,
it up?
just when I was looking it up, because I was like, is this just like we're dealing with our emotions and feelings? No, there's
Some
horrific
serious
emotions and
bad stuff
feelings.
happening.
And you can kind of get that from the cover, actually, to be fair.
Yeah, I
The
don't really
cover,
like the cover.
well, I don't think you're supposed to like it.
Well, clearly it's a horror. They're like, you need to know what this book is about, and it's not good.
You're supposed to find it kind of creepy. The
Yeah.
little description at the front, a fierce, frightening novel,
Ooh,
says Rachel Harrison, author of
The
the
Return?
The Return, which I read recently and was terrifying.
There you
So
go.
there you
Another
go.
terrifying author is vouching for
For
Just
this
Like
one.
Mother. Yeah.
Yes.
That takes us to the end of the episode. Thanks everyone for watching. Like usual, you can find these show notes for all the authors and titles at tbplofftheshelf.com. Like, follow, subscribe. We are at tbpl across all platforms, and also tbpl youth for the teens out there. And we have new episodes every 2 weeks ish, and we'll see you then. Bye.
Bye.